Hey, Bill, good afternoon. We've been covering this story, this closing of the Samus plant for quite some time, and we looked more at the economic side of things, but now we have to look at the job force aspect. Now, with its impending closure come July of this year, 139 workers here at the Samus plant are going to be laid off. That's probably going to look like in waves starting in March and April. So now where does that leave those who've been working at this plant in this industry for decades? Now, the Community Action Council was able to speak to them this morning. They tell me the biggest worry of some of these employees is how are they going to resume after they're laid off? How are they going to go back and restart creating a resume? Well, they're starting to work on creating workshops and resources for them to access so they can start over. They can have these new teachings and create a resume to find a new job after this plant closes. I spoke to them this morning and their deputy director. Here's what he had to say.
The state does a nice job with this. This is a high priority for them, as well as us. You know, this is a large employer in our area, and it's going to affect this county in a major way.
Now, I'll have much more from the Community Action Council and Job and Family Services as they have some resources for those who may be looking for assistance, both financially and, of course, professionally. So stick with News 9. I'll have much more later on News 9 Live at 5. For now, reporting live in Stratton, Chloe Mesogitis, News 9. Thank you, Bill. Good afternoon. Right now, jurors are in discussion, thinking about arguments and talking about and sifting through 2 days worth of evidence in the trial of former Jefferson County Health Administrator Annette Stewart. Now, Stewart was indicted by a grand jury back in January after allegedly giving herself a pretty hefty raise. And a lot of this stems from a health board meeting on April 25th, 2017. Yesterday, jurors heard testimony from various witnesses testifying against Stewart. We were in court this morning where we heard the closing arguments from the prosecutor, from the Ohio Attorney General's office, and the defense's counsel as well. The prosecution stating the most vital piece of evidence is the recording of that April 25th health board meeting, while the defendant stating the minutes from that day are the most essential part.
The question becomes, did this happen? Or did Annette Stewart create it in order to give herself a raise?
Ms. Stewart is not a thief. She didn't steal anything from the Board of Health, and I hope you find her not guilty.
Now, the jury is still in deliberation, but stick with us here at News 9 as we continue to bring you more updates on this trial. Reporting in Jefferson County, Chloe Mesogitis, News 9 Midday. Hey guys, good morning. It's cold. The temperatures are dropping a little bit more here. We're live here in Jefferson County, and as you can see over my right shoulder, we're looking at the Veterans Memorial Bridge. Now, this traffic is pretty steady considering the road conditions. Some few people on the road. We've been seeing a few go into Weirton and make their way into Steubenville too, but ODOT does advise you to please proceed with caution. Stay home if you can. There's no road level yet declared for Jefferson County, but while we're here, a lot of this is just freezing temps. Let's take a look at some of the snow. I know that we were only projected to get about 1 to 3 inches, but the thing about this snow, it's just flying into the wind because the wind is so heavy here. The snow is sticking to the ground, but it is not sticking for a snowball. So with that, let's toss things over to News 9's Gianna Dupre, who's standing by and wheeling. Let's see if she has the same type of conditions going on in Ohio County. Gianna, good morning. It was on a treadmill just like this one at the Steubenville Planet Fitness where one man had a sudden cardiac arrest. His life was saved and he is now okay, but now many are stressing the need for learning CPR.
I hear a thud a couple treadmills down from me. An older gentleman had fallen backwards off the treadmill. I run over to him immediately. He was still breathing at this point, but pretty quickly after that, he stopped breathing. His pulse went.
I fed off of her, brought the AED over. She started doing the chest compressions, and then we shocked him, and still we didn't have no sign of life, really. So we kept doing what we were doing. We shocked him again, kept up with that, and then the EMS showed up and took over the scene, and everything was good.
Pico says they're planning more CPR courses at the health department, as that's what saved Bob Waskowitz.
But I don't remember nothing. But you know, I do remember seeing my dog, the one that died a couple years ago, that he was with me. That's all I remember.
A man who was no stranger to the gym. At 67, he's been working out each day since the 1980s, when he overcame several health issues with his weight.
I'm almost addicted to going to the gym.
So it can happen to anyone, especially with so much attention to the shocking cardiac arrest that struck Bill Safety Damar Hamlin. We spoke to the director of Trinity's Invasive Cardiology Unit to learn more.
This does not mean that you need to be afraid of exercising, because exercise is good for your health. It's a matter that you need to make sure that you're in the right condition.
Two main ways to do that: self-awareness and checking in with your physician. Another key element, CPR training in every facility, just like Planet Fitness.
The more people we have training CPR, the higher the chances that we all have to save a life. All these cases that we've seen, especially the case of Damar Hamlin, he had an excellent outcome because people were there available to do CPR. CPR saved lives.
In this case, it certainly did. Waskowitz now has 3 heart stents and a pacemaker, hoping to make a full recovery and a return to exercise in the future. And while Bob is now okay, medical professionals do stress to not do too much too fast, as many are planning to head back to the gyms in the new year. Reporting in Steubenville, Chloe Mesogitis, News 9. This scene right here is what used to be 119 Ohio Street. Now it's burned to the ground after a 2-structure fire in Mingo Junction.
I just don't even know what to think right now. It was just such a bad night.
It all started at 2:45 Thursday morning.
Mingo and Brilliant Fire Department was dispatched to a working structure fire with entrapment. There was a sheriff's deputy on scene, did confirm there was entrapment. Upon arrival, 2 of the victims did get out. Unfortunately, there was a fatality in the incident.
Chief Montgomery tells News 9 that fatality was a male in his 60s. In addition to that, 6 dogs and 3 birds also perished. Some neighbors like Rachel Vonconcelos and Bobby Blackburn saw the blaze at its peak.
I was trying to break the door down, so I broke the door down, and it was like too late. I tried to go in there, there was smoke rolling out, hit my face, they were screaming for the dogs. It was awful.
Those screams thankfully waking up many neighbors.
If she wasn't screaming, I don't know what would happen.
While many of the occupants of the homes next door have no injuries, they have a good amount of damage, sending many into panic mode.
We were packing stuff out of the house and getting our dogs and animals out because it caught this next house on fire, and they were trying to tell us that they didn't know if it was going to jump to our house. It was bad.
Both add, with a close-knit neighborhood like this, it's heartbreaking.
It's a tragedy. Yeah, it is.
As of now, Chief Montgomery says that this is under investigation. Stick with News 9 as we continue to hear more details. Reporting in Mingo Junction, Chloe Mesogitis, News 9.